Welcome to the Backpacking and Blisters podcast. Everyone, my name is Carl Mandrioli, and with me today is a man who plays croquet with a crowbar made of Velcro. That's right, Brad Crow Felton. How's it going, sir?
What's up, Carl? How's it going, man?
It's going good,
to be
man.
Back.
You're back and better than ever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're replacing my typical co-host, Derek, who's still out with some family challenges, but he should be back next week for a long stretch. But, man, I so appreciate you stepping in while he's gone.
Yeah, no problem. I was like, man, I guess maybe he likes me, or can he call me back to come again? Yes, I'm still in.
What? Wait a second. Maybe he likes me? Okay, all right. If you're going to pull that out, after the last time you were on, I had a great time. We got great feedback on the episode. And I was like, man, like Crow's one of the guys that I would actually like to go backpacking with. And so we started texting back and forth. And then I said, here are all of the trips I'm doing in 2023. So I threw out all the trips, all the dates. And do you remember what your response was?
I'm busy.
I would have taken that response. I got no response. It was a non-response.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh, okay. I guess I liked our episode better than he did.
Yeah, no, we got to go, man. We got to figure out a trip.
Don't worry. I'm usually the non-response. I get that like most of the time. So I just kind of roll with it. So I'll just keep throwing invites out there and we'll see what happens. But okay. I think it was back in November. It might have even been like early to mid-November you were on last time. So what's been going on since then? What are you up to?
Not a whole lot. I've done some trips, just in the Southeast places, and just doing videos and work, kids, family, all that stuff. But hey, I'm loving it. It's been fun. Okay, good deal. And yeah, for those who didn't catch the first episode, Crow's from Alabama, and he prosecutes some terrible criminals and says that they typically get off when you're the lawyer in charge. That's right. I'm a terrible lawyer, but I give it my best.
Oh my gosh. And another thing you're known for is on your videos, you got a character who kind of, works his way into some of your videos named Backpacker Bob. And I want to have Backpacker Bob on one of our shows one of these days. But for those who don't know the backstory, like who's Backpacker Bob and what's he been up to?
Well, he showed up in a couple of my videos. Used to live by me, but it was down by the interstate, underneath the interstate, and met him one day. And so, I was, people were entertained. He was in a few of my videos, and he went on some hikes, and then he got lost out in Utah, and he was looking for the Middle Earth Trail. Okay. And
which is it's probably in Utah, for being honest.
It felt like it out there, but he never found it, and then he ran out of money. But if you follow the playlist of Backpacker Bob, he is now was recently located in a dumpster behind a Taco Bell, and he is on the run from the law. So that's where he is.
Was he looking for the nastiest possible dumpster? Like, what dumpster could I jump into? Probably the Taco Bell one. Okay.
Well, he told me, he's had a good supply of quesadillas. They're a little stale, but he's still eating, so that's good.
Oh my gosh. I saw there's a thumbnail one of Crow's recent videos that has Backpacker Bob peeking out from like under the lid of a dumpster, and I just, that got a laugh for sure. So, all right, I want to, I guess when I meet him, I want to know how he came up with just the creative trail name of Backpacker Bob. Like that's. Backpacker as a backpacking trail name. Is that the best he could do?
He's a genius. I mean,
genius.
But no, he's just a crusty old dude, kind of the cross between the old prospector from Toy Story and the Saturday Night Live episode where what's his name? The actor Will Ferrell does Harry Carey. That's kind of the cross between who he is. And that's how I would describe him.
That's an interesting cross right there. Oh man. All right. Well, we'll get to him later, maybe in a future episode. I hope so anyway. And in the meantime, though, we got budget gear coming up in this episode. We got budget gear items that are going to rival the pricey stuff. I'm really curious what you got on your list. But first, we got a Bible verse for our episode, Matthew 6:26-27. Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? That was one of the bird verses that came up, but kind of in reference to your name. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but this verse is really about worrying. So in general, are you a worrier? Like, do you worry about a lot of stuff on a backpacking trip?
Oh my gosh, yes. And so that could be a whole nother episode. I'm anxiety ridden, depression. I think I need to go take some pills right now.
You could do an episode on your worrying on a backpacking trip.
Oh gosh, you just don't know the half of it. But yeah,
no. I want to know. I want to know. What do you worry about? Give me like a couple things here.
Yeah, I mean, just the typical stuff, but mainly like when I'm driving out of the driveway, like what 5 things there's not in my pack that I'm going to need, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Do you use a gear list?
No, I don't. I should.
What?
I should. I don't have lighter pack. I don't use lighter pack or anything. I pretty much keep my pack down here in my little gear room packed, ready to go. Okay. And so I think we were talking offline about it. Like I'm ready to go with the exception of changing out certain things, that I don't check. Yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
No. I'm still interested. Yeah. Don't try to pass the buck here.
Don't try to.
You're worried about forgetting stuff. What's the worst thing you've forgotten?
TP. TP was a rough one. So I was looking for the softest leaves and pine straw.
Wait, what's pine straw? No-go. Wait, is pine straw pine needles or what is it?
Oh yeah, pine needles. I guess in the South we say pine straw. Yeah, but I've hiked with many people from the North and they always say pine needles, and I was like, what? Okay, yeah. Just a little.
I think the pine straw is closer to needles than to straw in terms of the feel of them, especially if you're using them as toilet paper. Just FYI.
Yeah.
My humble opinion. All right. So what do I worry about? I'm worrying about, to be honest, I'm typically worrying about everybody else. Can they make it? Do they have the right gear? Are they going to show up? Is anybody going to miss a plane flight? That kind of stuff. Yeah. And all those things have happened where they don't have the right gear, that they have missed plane flights, or flights have gotten significantly delayed and they're kind of wrecking the trip. So yeah, that's my big concern. And then when I go with people that I haven't backpacked with, I worry about, like, are they gonna have a good time? Like, I really want them to have a good time. So yeah. We recently just I had this thing we did last year. We did this year. It's called the Alabama Triple Crown. It's 3 trails in 3 days, total of 60 miles. So 20 miles each day. We're getting these people. I've never met them before, and they come and I did the same thing. I was like, I hope they have a good time. I hope they don't get injured. And I hope that, there's no catastrophe, because I was kind of a one-man show. Like, can I get them out? What would be the options? So it all worked out, but I'm always worried about that. Yeah. Wait, so you led this event and invited people that you hadn't met, and they showed up to do 20 miles a day. Is that correct? I did. I mean, a lot of people thought I was crazy, but so we did it last year with 13 YouTubers from around the country. Right. And this year I opened a Facebook group called the Alabama Triple Crown, and people just started. What happened was we did something called the Pinhoti Fest down here, which we had a booth. Our little group had a booth. And Dixie, Homemade Wanderlust, gave a speech about through hiking, and she had come to our booth. So she mentioned it in her big speech. And then people started coming up like, I want to do this. I want to do this. So we ended up doing it 2 weekends in a row. And like people came, never met most of them. And they had, it was a blast. We had a great time. Man, but I was worried. I was worried the whole time. Yeah, like, I was worried. Just based on my experience with taking people that haven't been before, you just never know if people are really up to the challenge. Yeah. People that think they are not. And I mean, I just go back to one of my big trips where it wasn't even that hard of a backpacking trip. It was like, it was hard. 50 miles, 4 days. And the weakest length who needed to actually have gear taken out of his pack was an ultra marathon runner who did 100-mile trail races. Yeah. He was like, and it wasn't even close. Like, he just didn't know how to do footwear. He got terrible blisters. And so, like, I would have never predicted that. You just never know. Yeah, you don't know. It's so different that people think, oh, I'm a runner, and if I'm a runner, I can backpack. Oh, it's just a different skill set, I guess. Or well, it is. I mean, typically you have a better, you kind of start farther ahead than others. But yeah, carrying a lot of weight on your back is different than kind of hitting the trails, prancing through the woods. But interesting. I want to know more about that. So we'll have to circle back to that later. But that's really cool that you did that for sure. So. All right, let's get to the budget gear. Let's get to the gear that. All right, so we've done, I think, 1, maybe 2 episodes on some budget gear with some different guests. And the last time we did this, we had my co-host Derek, who came out with a really interesting definition of budget gear. So I think we gotta set the ground rules here. We gotta make sure we're on the same page. How do you define budget gear?
And you told me this to think about this, and I didn't really think about it. That's
You can be off the cuff.
So, yeah, so I mean, budget gear to me it's got to be inexpensive, but because we backpack for a while, it doesn't mean that it's cheap, bad quality gear. It's got to be something that is inexpensive but is durable and can last in pretty much any backpacking experience.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay. Inexpensive, I think, is a key word there. So I agree. Mine is more like inexpensive compared to comparable items or compared to like whatever the industry standard is or what the majority of the items are, right?
Yeah. Okay. It's got to be comparable with something out there that's 3 times the price or something to that effect, right?
Yeah. And some of mine definitely are 3 times the price or 2 times the price for sure. So the item itself might not be cheap. Like it could be a $50, $100 more item, but compared to what, other items you might be looking at, it's cheaper.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we're on the same page. So yeah, we had an issue with Osprey being suggested as a budget gear company, and that did not go over well. So
interesting.
What is a budget piece of backpacking gear that competes with high-end options? What's number 1 on your list? Okay,
so I chose 3 for this kind of discussion, and the first one that I'll say, and I've seen a couple of reviews on it, but it's still kind of like, I wish more people knew about it, because if you're getting into backpacking, I think it's a really good option of something that is so expensive. It's one of those big purchase items that is anyway, that you can get for less price, but same quality in my view. So I have the Featherstone 20-degree quilt.
Okay.
To me, this is just my humble opinion. To me, there is no difference. That's a pretty bold statement, between this and the Enlightened Equipment Revelation 20-degree.
Whoa. Okay. Enlightened Equipment is definitely the high end option right there. Okay.
In fact, I feel like that. Of course, I have the Revelation, the 20-degree. I've had it for many, many years, and now the loft is not what it used to be.
All right.
So when I got this, I was like, God, the loft. Goodness, the loft is huge. It feels like it's overstuffed, but it's just because it's new, and I think the loft hasn't go down. But it has the same deal at the bottom. It cinches up. It has a zip cord pretty much to like mid-calf. It comes with the straps that you can strap around your pad, or you can just strap it to itself and make it almost like a non-zipper quilt. But it even has a draft collar. And it has a cinch cord on top, and it has snaps on top.
It's got the doodads, it's got the accessories. Do you know what fill power it is off the top of your head?
I believe it's either 800 or 850.
Okay, so good stuff.
But yeah,
is it? Do you know ballpark price on it?
Gosh, I should have looked it up, because I can't remember exactly. All I know is it was significantly cheaper than if you go on and try to pick your colors and stuff for Enlightened Equipment.
Oh, right, for sure.
For the 20, I can't remember what the 20 was, but the last time I checked, they only sell it in the 20-degree. I guess because that's one of the most popular degrees, and they only have one color. It's only black with an orange inside.
Okay.
So I guess they mass produce it and are able to get the price down low.
It's $200.
Okay. Yeah.
200. So, yeah. Plus shipping, plus tax. So Enlightened Equipment, you're probably looking at what would be like $400, double.
I'm guessing. Yeah. I think I haven't bought one in a while. I have 2, and it's been several years, because gosh, that to me is the biggest thing that when I started, I was like, oh gosh, this is going to be expensive to get into backpacking to buy a quilt.
1 pound, 7 ounces for the regular size. But you said 20 degrees and that's a popular degree, but you're not using a 20-degree quilt like in Alabama or down by where you are, right?
Not really. I mean, in the winter, yes.
Okay.
But I'm using like a throw down blanket sometimes, a lot of times in the summer. So,
Right.
but I mean, with a quilt though, in the South, I mean, you can just unzip it and then just use half of it or whatever, So I think it's just a good degree to get because you can do a lot of trips with a 20.
I gotcha. Yeah, I've got like a 30 or 35 and like a 0. And there's times I've wanted the 20 for sure, but I'm always trying to skimp or whatever. But okay, that's a good one. All right, so we got quilt is number 1, Featherstone, and I'll have this in the show description for both YouTube and for the audio apps, just to clarify. All right, my number 1, I gotta say this ahead of time, is my list. I just get a lot of things suggested to me, but I'm not as much of a gear purchaser probably as your average backpacker. And so I'm just going to tell you what I've seen. And I'll tell you if there's an item that gets like my stamp of approval where I've actually used it for a time period and it's holding up for the duration versus just a suggested item. So actually kind of going back to yours, does the Featherstone get your stamp of approval? Like you've used it for a while, you trust it?
Yeah. So I've got the Featherstone quilt, and I'll get to that in a minute. But yes, it does, because I bought it for my son because he was getting into backpacking, and I knew I needed to get him a quilt just so that he didn't have that huge, old style backpack with a sleeping bag on top. So when I saw it, and I want to say I got it for $180 when they had a sale. So, that reminded me when you said the price.
Right.
So we've used it many, many times, and I just think it's a great option. Yeah.
Holding up. All right. Stamp of approval, Crow's stamp of approval there. All right. So this one, my first one, it has to do with gloves, basically. So I went to the Tetons last fall, cold, rainy. I knew I was needed to bring gloves. I don't have backpacking gloves. I have like running gloves, which are not the same thing. They weren't waterproof. So I went to REI and I looked for gloves. And I was shocked at the price of gloves, like to the point where I was like, I can't justify spending $90 on a pair of just, REI switchback insulated waterproof gloves. All right. Sounds like a lot going on there, but it's REI brands. Entry level is $90. I was like, there's gloves. I mean, there's not even a lot of material there. And so I just ended up bringing my running gloves and it worked out okay. But on the trip, I was with Jason from Indiana, and we actually so he had a pair of gloves, and we actually ran to somebody who had the same exact gloves. These are not made for backpacking, but if you're looking for a really budget option, you're going on a colder trip or you need gloves, it's called something like the Showa Temres 282 insulated gloves. And I think they're more like worker gloves or something, but they're waterproof. They're, like I said, they're insulated and they're lightweight. They're bright blue. They're like Smurf gloves. And for those on YouTube, I got a picture right here. $21.
Oh, wow.
To 90. Yeah. So next trip I go on, these are the ones I'm going to bring. Jason, who's much more of a gear expert than I am, like swears by him, and he seems to know his stuff, and he's bringing them. So I would trust him.
And where do you get them?
Oh, sorry, Amazon.
On Amazon. Okay, maybe so. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Yeah, good question. So there you go. That's my first one. Gloves. I'm actually really frustrated by the price of gloves, and even running gloves, just like cheapo running gloves are just like, you're talking $30-$40. I'm like, I don't know. So there you go. That's my number 1. All right, number 2, what you got?
I like that. That's a good. I'm actually going to look at that. So number 2 is I didn't know I was sticking with this. So I was mentioning Featherstone. I just recently did a review of this tent. It's the Featherstone Backbone 1, and they have a Backbone 2.
Wait, are you sponsored by Featherstone?
No. In fact, I bought the quilt. But when Featherstone saw my quilt video, I did a review of it. So they did actually send me this one.
Okay.
And so I just recently did this, and I mean, I am super impressed with this because it's a trekking pole tent. It's the first time they tried a trekking pole tent. The 1-person tent is $159, and the 2-person tent is $179. And it's, still nylon. I think it's a brilliant design. It's ventilated all the way around, huge vestibules on both sides. The the 1 and the 2 kind of remind you of the Gossamer Gear 1 and 2. I think it has similar features, but obviously a third of the price. So
right,
and it's not as light, obviously, as Gossamer Gear 1 and 2. In the 2 version, almost looks a little bit like the duplex, but in a silk-nylon fabric.
right.
And the 2 is very roomy. The 1 is what you would think a one-person tent. I mean, it's basically a coffin with big vestibule doors. So,
right.
The vestibule doors give you what you need because you can put all your gear on both sides because it has 2 vestibules for the 1 and the 2.
Okay.
But yeah, it looks like the Gossamer Gear 2, maybe a little tighter on the 2 version. But at $179, that's why I pulled it, because I was trying to think of 3 things, and I just got this and just did the review and have been super impressed with this thing.
2 pounds, 12 ounces for I think it's the 1 person is what we're at.
Is it live yet? They told me it wasn't coming out till the end of May, 1st of June. So they got it on their website. It
says in stock June 12th. So
June 12th.
About a month out. And it says there's like can't click on it button. It says sold out. So so it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
All right.
Brilliant design. They even have like the duplex, the Z-Pack duplex has. They have this mesh around the bottom that connects to the vestibule a little bit on the top, so that when most of your air is coming out, the condensation, you've got this little bit of place for condensation to flow, which I thought was neat. I've never seen that before.
Right. Okay. So Featherstone backbone 1-person trekking pole tent. Check it out. Yeah. For $160 for that weight and for the, like what you're describing, the quality on it. Like, I think that's a good deal. That's a good answer right there. I like that one.
And one other thing I failed to mention is first time I'd ever seen this, the Will is the owner of Featherstone, and I got to talk to him after he sent me this for a little while, and he did something I hadn't seen on a tent yet, and you can see it in my video. He puts little O-rings, little rings at the corners for you to put your stake in. So they're metal O-rings for the corners, so you don't have to worry about the wear and tear on the edges before you stake out, because it's got a little ring for your stake. I'd never seen that before. I thought it was really a brilliant design.
Wait a second. Have you worn out like whatever your stake loop is? Have you done that before? Is it worn through?
Yeah, I have one that did that. It pulled mostly. Well, I say that. No, it really it pulled from the tent itself. But from this, so you don't have to fiddle around and pull it apart to get the stake through. You've got this O-ring, and it's got a unique design of the cords come out to give you this like stand-up area for the bathtub floor, and then it pulls to this O-ring. I don't know, you just have to see it, but it's he did a lot of good designing on this thing. It's just it's not your just typical tent,
Maybe, we try to do an episode, I don't know, once or twice a season where we have kind of up and coming companies on, and we have kind of the guy or the lady who's, designer, CEO, whatever. So maybe we should we have Will on? Was he a good guy to chat with?
I'll hook you up with him. He basically got it. He's basically what this episode is about. Like when I was talking to him, he saw all these high price gear companies. He said, "Can I make something that has some good quality, but doesn't break the bank?" So that's kind of his philosophy. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So that I'll tuck that away. There's definitely some companies having the list, and he could be a possibility. All right. My number 2 is, it kind of has to do with stoves. So I've got a couple different options here. And so in terms of budget stoves, like the stoves are getting pretty crazy. So like the MSR Pocket Rocket 2, which is a pretty basic stove. I know it's kind of, redesigned since the Pocket Rocket 1, but it's $60. And so I think a lot of YouTube backpackers, they're going with the BRS 3000 at this point, because it's $16 on Amazon, $16. Yep. And it is inefficient, which doesn't really matter if you're going on an overnight trip or a 2-night trip. It might matter if you're going on a 3-night trip, especially if you're sharing it, but it's inefficient. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's inefficient for the shorter trips. I would not bring this on a longer trip or if I was sharing this, like if I have my family with me, for example. But if you're looking for like entry level stove, you've probably already heard of this one. All right. So I'm going to try to take this to the next level here. And I've had multiple people suggest that they like Jetboil, but they hate the price. And
yep.
Yeah. Have you used Jetboil before?
I have a Jetboil knockoff, and
this is where I'm going. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like it, but it's just kind of bulky, but I do like it because it is very efficient. Like I could tell that yeah.
Okay, so I got 2 Jetboil knockoff options. All right, so if you don't mind the bulkiness, you just like the fast boiling. Again, on Amazon, there's like multiple brands. One of them is called like Fire Maple, and they, like they're knockoffs. And I know people get nervous about knockoffs with the brands, but I feel like the stove technology, the basic concept of fuel comes out of a spout and you light it. Like it's not there's not a lot to go wrong there, right? Like there's not a lot
it's
of
not
like,
rocket science. Yeah,
it's not rocket science. The science behind Jetboil is not in the stove. It's in the pot that connects to it to keep it more efficient, to kind of keep it housed in a very efficient way. That's where what you're paying for with the Jetboil, not the stove itself necessarily. Jetboil did make some like Mighty Mo stoves, which you can turn and you can simmer and that kind of thing. But if you're just looking for the fast boil, I think the knockoff, again, like I don't have my stamp of approval on this one. It's not tried and true, but I've had a lot of people suggest this. They're like, we like the concept, but we go with the knockoff. Another knockoff you can do is if you have like the MSR Pocket Rocket 2, but you want to be more efficient, or you have that BRS stove, you want to be more efficient. There's like an Olicamp 1 liter cooking pot, and that's $27. You can pair that with your existing stove, and it looks basically like the Jetboil housing where it kind of makes your stove more efficient. Yeah. That one was specifically suggested by Brooke from Florida, who is one of our Patreon supporters. And so Brooke, good suggestion. And so those are some options. If you just want what Jetboil has to offer, but you don't want to pay $100 to $150 for it, there you go.
I want to check that out. So it does it, and I don't know the science, but it has that conduction or convection thing at the bottom that Jetboil has that kind of makes the flame go all around it or something.
It just kind of like houses the flame so that way the heat is not escaping. You're still heating, and it's kind of sending the heat up to the pot. So it just kind of makes your boil times faster, more efficient. And I got to look at the weight of the pot. I'm sure it's heavier than your typical pot, but if you're looking for function over weight, it's not that much heavier anyway. And you're getting a faster boil time. So, so there's mine. So thanks for the suggestions from the folks that kind of reached out with that one. All right. So that's my number 2. And you got one more. You got number 3.
I do have one more, and keeping in line with this idea that I was purchasing gear for my son, who's he was 15 at the time. Now he's 16. I was trying to get him so that if he wanted to go, you never know with a 16-year-old, but if he wanted to go, then I've got him ready to go. I've got all the basics. So I looked around, I saw a lot of gear reviews, and I settled with, and I'm really glad I did, this Nature Hikes Outdoors pack. It's 60 liter. Really great frame. It has kind of a lollipop aluminum frame in it and works pretty well. It has a good cushion on the back. It even has a built-in pocket here, but the pocket does sit up a little high, but great hip belt on it, just attached. Great hip pocket on it. And it even has a built-in rain fly on the bottom. So our rain poncho cover for it. So you just zip it. It's already there. So that was nice that I don't have to go purchase that. And rolls down, has even a little rope feature on the top if you want to put something on the top, like a sleeping pad or something else. And a good pocket on the back. So super inexpensive. I can't remember what it was.
$85.
$85 for this.
Yeah. That's for the 40 plus like the 5 liter, whatever attachment. It's $90 for the 60 liter. It looks like. Yeah. So
I've been super impressed with it. It's very durable. Now, is it the lightest pack in the world? No. I can't remember exactly. Maybe you can see it on the specs, but it's not super light, but it's not super heavy either. So, great for him.
Well, is it adjustable at all by any chance?
I thought about that, and I don't remember it being. No, it is not adjustable. So you have to get the size. I can't remember. You have a small, medium, and large, I believe.
Okay.
Or maybe they don't. Maybe they just have the one size. I can't remember. But
yeah. If you're looking for entry level for kids, for me, the adjustability is so important because I keep on buying packs and my kids grow out of them within the year. So, but if you have somebody who's kind of maxed out with their size, like, okay, it says that the basic pack weighs 1.16 kilograms. So what is that, like 2.5 pounds ish?
2.5 pounds, yeah.
Okay. So that's good. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I take that for $90. That's a great option.
$90, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, if you got somebody that's going to go with you, maybe you have your pack and then you have this as a spare. If you got a friend that wants to go for the first time, it's a great pack to have,
They've got the one they have in stock right now is black and kind of gray, which I don't mind that color, but the one you have, I really like that blue color. It's pretty sharp right there. Yeah.
In fact, I think when I got it, it was on sale. I think somebody was doing a review and they had a 15% off, and
okay.
And this was the only color at the time. So I think you just have to go with what they got. But yeah, $90 if somebody's getting into it, I think it's a great option.
I might get one of those and do like a review on it as well, because that looks. Yeah, your answers have been awesome, man. So I got to like start bookmarking the stuff that you're talking about. All right. So I've got, my last one, I can't remember if we talked about it on the podcast or not, because we've done, 230 plus episodes at this point. So forgive me if I've mentioned this one already, but this is something I do put my stamp of approval on. This is something that I've been using for multiple trips. And I've started to bring, especially, spring and fall trips, I started bringing a down jacket. And most down jackets are stinking expensive. So, for example, the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer, which is a very popular backpacking jacket, is what is it, like $300, 300 something bucks at this point.
Yeah.
Weighs in at 8.8 ounces, got the 800 fill power down. They talk about like some sort of like down mixture that they're using. And I bought the Decathlon, I don't know how you pronounce it, 4-class down jacket, suggested to me by Justin Outdoors, so it's sold by Decathlon, which is like kind of a European outdoor company. And it weighs a little more. It weighs 10.2 ounces. You're adding 1.4 ounces, which is, not a lot.
Yeah. Minuscule, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like $85, $90 or maybe $80. I think I thought I put that down on my notes. I did not. So $80 to $90, I'll say, which is still just a fraction of the price of kind of the bigger, higher end ones. I've worn this down jacket on multiple backpacking trips, but I've also worn it around town. So I've actually put a lot of time in the jacket, and quality is solid, warmth is solid. It also has the 800 fill power down, and look it up if you want more specs. I'll have the link in the show description. But do you wear a down jacket, or what's your story?
I do. I've got an old school down jacket that I bought years ago at some like garage kind of sale. I look like the kid from A Christmas Story in it because it's so puffy. Right. But it's super warm, so I like it. And then I have like a budget version like you're talking about, but not that one. But I did see Tom Walker from Following Walker's World did a review of his, and I trust him, so I assume he really likes it. And I've seen it on sale, like.
Yeah, that's true.
It's been on sale like $20 less than it usually is or something.
Yeah. So you can bookmark it and kind of check back periodically. So, all right. Those are three that where you can, pick between like the budget category versus the high end category, spend less money versus spend more money. But I got a bonus list that I call free gear replacements, where you can replace not necessarily high end gear, but gear that costs money with something for free. All right. So I've got
good idea.
Well, you probably do some of this stuff too. I'm going to tell you what I do, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree. Just tell me agree or disagree and why. All right. Free gear replacement. You can buy a trowel for like $5 to $10, $20 for going titanium, or you could not buy a trowel. You can go for free and use the side of your foot, your shoe, a rock, something to dig the hole instead. Free option. Don't buy the trowel. What do you say?
No, not doing it.
You feel like using a rock is too difficult?
No, rock. Yeah, I was thinking about the shoe. No, a rock. Yes, and I have done that many times. Yeah, I would go with that.
Saves you 3-4 ounces and a little bit of money. All right, here we go. Next one, more controversial. You can buy some lightweight, even ultralight camp shoes. I've seen like really ultralight ones sell $50, $70, $70, buy some Crocs, whatever. Or not. You can leave those at home, take the insoles out of your shoes, walk around differently, walk around barefoot if you're talking about the summertime, and have no camp shoes. You can save 8 ounces to a pound off your pack weight. Leave it at home, save the cash. What do you say to that?
I'm definitely down with that. I was a camp shoe guy for many years.
Okay.
And got made fun of for it, and I've pretty much gone away from camp shoes. I don't carry them. I don't carry them anymore.
Okay. All right. Wow, you're easy to please then. Okay, I'm gonna go more controversial than that, even more controversial than camp shoes. All right. The sit pad. A lot of people are straight up buying the sit pad, not like cutting off some old foam and using it, but they're buying the sit pad. I just say, look, if you're taking a long break, you had a lunch break, pull out the chair, pull out the luxury. You're taking a short break, you don't need to sit down, just keep it going, keep moving. Maybe take fewer breaks. Maybe consider that just an option. But leave the sit pad at home. You're saving what, like an ounce or two, maybe at the most, but you're saving some money. What do you say to that one?
Okay. I think you want me to disagree, so I'm gonna disagree.
No. I want you to be true to yourself.
No, so I do believe in the dual purpose stuff. So my sit pad is a thing. I think you and I were talking about people that we used to watch when we got into backpacking. Senior hikers. No, I'm sorry. Early riser is a guy who did the AT in like 2018 or something, or 2017. He has this rule that has stuck with me over the years, is that I always, when I get to camp or if I sit down, I always have my gear that I get out of my pack touch something so that I don't lose it or miss it in the leaves or something whenever I pull stuff out of my pack, because I've done that before. So
miss it in the leaves. Sorry, sparked memory there.
So I take my sit pad and I have it out by my tent. Or when I'm sitting, and I always make sure that any gear that I take out of my pack, whatever for lunch, whatever, is touching that sit pad. So that's why I use it, and that's why I take it as that dual purpose.
That's the best reason I've ever heard for a sit pad. I like that. So it's touching something, that way you're less likely to lose it. Yeah, I was just thinking, we went on a trip in Emigrant Wilderness in Northern California, north of Yosemite. This is years ago, but our good friend Rocky, friend of the show, we made a stop and he took a dive into a lake, and I was just kind of waiting for them to kind of get their, stuff back together. And I just looked at his gear, and he had like wallet and keys out of the pack under some leaves, like in the bushes. And so maybe that's a good rule for him, because that's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right.
We recently did a trip where on that Alabama Triple Crown thing, and one of the participants had to use a restroom break, let's just say, and left their iPhone at the tree. And we went like 4 miles, and then they advised me they had left their phone back at the tree.
Yeah.
4 miles back. So I went back and I was trying to FaceTime them and had very limited service. And they were like, "Oh no, it's the other tree to the left." And then I'm thinking, wait, what am I about to step in this tree?
Oh my goodness. Wait, so 4 miles back is 8 miles round trip. Those 8 miles extra?
It was rough. Yeah. But we made it happen. It was good.
Do you bring your cell phone to the tree?
Yeah. I think that was a bad mistake, but they were super nice, and we wanted to find it for them. So we did. It worked out. And then I had somebody pick me up on the road.
Okay.
As I was making my way back. So it all worked out. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to get on a rabbit trail, but yeah, that is my thing about, like, when you take stuff out of your pack, you gotta make it touch something that you'll find it, Yeah.
I don't bring my cell phone to the tree. I don't know if I should, as like an emergency thing. I mean, I know people have gotten lost going to the bathroom, like you kind of get turned around or whatever, but yeah, I typically just bring the gear, so to speak. Interesting.
Just the TP, in the trial,
I got one last one, free gear replacement. So headlamps, and it costs you $30 to $60. Grab the flashlight out of your junk drawer, leave the headlamp, don't buy it. I just saved you a lot of money there. You already have a bunch of flashlights there. What do you say to that one?
I've done that before, but I usually am, when I've got my headlamp, I'm always doing something. I need both hands, either putting up a tent or arranging gear or cooking, and I need both hands. So, and it usually won't fit on my ear, like just to put the flashlight on my ear. Like, so I need the headlamp.
Okay. I actually don't buy that one. I was just trying to get a rise out of you, trying to get a reaction. I didn't get one.
Okay, well, good. Yeah.
All right. Hopefully there's some sort of takeaway from budget gear versus, the premium stuff. And I liked your list. And yeah, definitely, like I mentioned, we'll have it in the show description. So speaking of budget gear, I got budget trivia coming up for you right after this. All right. Budget trivia is brought to you by Vaucluse Gear. Let's be honest. Back sweat really dampens our spirits. Not only is it uncomfortable and potentially dangerous, it's gross to look at. The Vaucluse Ultralight ventilation backpack frame can solve this problem. This game-changing solution fits all backpacking packs up to 65 liters to give you the ventilation you need to stay drier. Use code BLISTERS for $10 off at vauclusegear.com. Okay, budget trivia. So I got 3 questions. You got to get 2 to pass.
Ooh, okay.
All right, you said that trivia's not your strong suit. You lost trivia last time. Yeah. But you know what? There's always hope. So here we go.
Yeah, I think last time you had me, what was it? The markings of different gear companies, like what their logo was. And
Yeah. Gear logos. Yeah, that was a good one. We should go back to that. We should do that one again. All right. That doesn't really relate to this. It kind of relates, but you'll see. Number 1, you have some disposable income in your budget this month. Which of the following is the best investment if you want to lighten your load? So here, you got 3 options here. A, moving from a synthetic to down sleeping bag with the same comfort rating. B, upgrading from an Amazon chair, like an Amazon backpacking chair, to a Hyperlight. Hyperlight chair? No. Oh man, what's the name of the company? I just lost it.
Helinox.
Helinox. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Brain fart there. I typed Hyperlight. Helinox chair. So Amazon chair to Helinox chair. C, buying Dyneema bags with your logo on it to organize all of your kits.
Wait, go back to the question. What's the question again?
You got disposable income. Which of the following is the best investment if you want to lighten your load?
The best investment.
Yeah.
Either the Dyneema bags or the chair. Upgrade. You're saying upgrade?
Yeah.
Or going from synthetic to down?
Right.
Ooh. I'm going to go with the synthetic to down.
Synthetic to down is actually second place. You're close, but incorrect. Yeah. So typically when I did the comparisons, it was like you could save about a half a pound to a pound. Whereas the Amazon chairs are typically you're saving 1 to 2 pounds, sometimes more than that. So it was the chair.
Okay.
And the Dyneema bags are actually gaining weight. It's the opposite, and you're spending a lot of money. So we've already covered that in the previous episode.
That's a good question. Because that's a good thing to think about too,
Yeah. So yeah, especially when you have disposable income, which is not a typical scenario that I've got, but you never know. You never know what the future holds. Number 2, you're planning a backpacking trip on the cheap. Which phone app can save you the most money? 3 options. A, AllTrails. B, Gas Buddy. C, Mint.
Mint. I don't even know what Mint is.
Really? Okay. Well, they don't choose that one.
Yeah, I can't go with that one.
Okay.
What's going to save me? I'm going to say, I'm never good at this stuff. I'm going to say Gas Buddy.
Because what's your reasoning?
Because I have that app.
Okay.
And I do find the lowest price gas when I use that app. Usually sometimes it's 20, it could be 15, 20 cents a gallon. Now I don't know what that first option was, has for the AllTrails, but because I have Gaia, I may have AllTrails. I don't really know. I couldn't speak to that, but I know of a Gas Buddy. I do save money. So I'll go with that one.
Okay, Gas Buddy is correct. Good job on that one. Yeah. So AllTrails, like if you're spending whatever it is, the $30, $35 annual fee, then you don't have to buy like a hard copy map. But the maps are $10 to $15. So if you're talking about one trip going cheap, it's actually going to cost you more money. And then Mint's more of just like a money management, kind of like financial planning sort of app.
Okay. I have seen that. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So it can help you budget, but it's not specific to like one backpacking trip necessarily. So you're 1 for 2. You got to get this one right. Number 3, you spent some money up front on backpacking permits, hotel rooms, and other travel costs with the expectation that your friends pay you back. You communicated the costs up front and included both an email form and on the gear list that you sent out. We already learned you don't use a gear list, but let's pretend that you do. All right, but there's still a person or two that hasn't done so, and the trip is over. How do you handle this? I don't have options. This is open-ended question. What do you do?
I would call Backpacker Bob and ask him to go shake him down.
Climb out of the dumpster, Backpacker Bob.
What would I do? I guess I would see if one of the other guys is friends with the guys who hasn't paid, and I would say to the other guy, hey, he hasn't paid. You want to nudge him? Or, I don't know. Yeah.
I'm going to pass the buck and make my friend do it for me. All right, I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty much me. I would be passing the buck.
Okay, you do not fit the typical stereotype of the lawyer who is very pointed and in your face and not afraid to jam your thumb into somebody's chest and be like, "Hey, give me the cash."
I told you I'm not a good lawyer. I don't have the demeanor for it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I will accept that answer. The more passive aggressive approach of getting your friend to do that. I actually haven't tried that, so I'll have to try that technique.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've talked about this scenario a number of times on our podcast. And honestly, for me, it's gotten way better. It's not perfect. We still have some issues with this, but it's gotten way better since we actually started our podcast and started complaining about this. So is this a problem for you? Have you experienced this?
It's probably been me, and mostly because I'm forgetful. We're going on a trip coming up, and I did forecast it to the person who paid for the campsites.
Yeah.
I went ahead and said, hey, send me your Venmo so that I won't forget.
I took
the initiative so that I won't forget myself. Because you don't want to be that guy. That's horrible. If you're that guy and you don't even know it, that's terrible.
I mean, if I'm typically asking twice, I feel like that's enough, and I don't want to. I just feel like at that point you don't care enough if I'm asking twice and you still haven't paid. So because you could,
they just don't get invited. They don't get invited the next trip.
I've rolled that idea around for sure, or I've just been more upfront, or I don't know. I guess I could prorate the next trip cost and be like, you know what, this trip's more expensive for you because you didn't pay the last time. But
yeah.
All right, my friend. So you passed 2 out of 3. Congratulations. No peeling stickers off this time. So. All right. So we got tidbits here at the end. I got a couple. I got one for me, one for you. So first one is we got a new Patreon supporter. Thank you to Austin from Ohio. He's a Boy Scout or was a Boy Scout that's done a lot in the Midwest. In college, he hit up the Wayne National Forest. And I always ask the new Patreon supporters what they want to see in the show or kind of, episode suggestion ideas. And he wants to see a breakdown of the pros and cons of different stove systems, which we sort of touched on today a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm not so sure. I don't know. We're not the techie. We're not the techie podcast. And so I don't know if this is a good fit for a podcast. Have you done a YouTube video on something like that?
I've reviewed a couple of stoves, but I keep it pretty basic because if I try to go beyond my expertise, it will look really goofy. So yeah, I just say, look, I don't know all the ins and outs. Here's what I do know. And it's pretty basic, but no, that would be a good topic if you had somebody who was into that stuff, maybe an electrician or something, or somebody who had some knowledge.
Somebody who knows how to do the scientific method maybe would be helpful.
Right.
But yeah, and you have to have all the stoves. And so I've got a couple, but I don't have, I don't have all of them.
There's so many designs out there. You got the Whisper Light. You got all these crazy stoves. I mean, that would take a lot. It'd be a huge investment too.
For sure. 100%. So yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen on our podcast. We'll still talk about stoves though, but it's a good suggestion because I think, having that information is helpful, especially if you're doing longer trips and want to know efficiency versus weight versus all that stuff. But all right. Second tidbit, my friend, you've got a YouTube channel, which is massively increasing in popularity, at least in the last year. It looks like it has. You've got Instagram. Tell us where we can find you. What's going on?
I'm on YouTube as a Crow Flies Hiking, and I'm on Instagram as a Crow Flies Hiking. Facebook is just Crow Flies Hiking. I don't know how that got there.
Right.
And so that's where you can mostly find me. Unless you want to go hike with me, and then just give me a call and or email me. We'll figure something out. Just
20 miles a day, right?
Yeah, maybe.
That's what you said. That was a trip that you invited people on. Just come hike with me. Just 20 miles a day. That's it.
No problem. You got it.
Okay. So check his stuff out. Always good stuff. And that's where you can find Backpacker Bob as well. Same YouTube channel. And okay, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like back in November, I mean, you had like a couple thousand YouTube followers, and now you're over 5K. Like, I mean, you over double. You know, it was like 150% growth in that time. Is that right?
I don't know. I mean, I think I'm not exactly sure. I mean, but you believe it or not, like for me, I know this is going to sound crazy, but for me, it's more of an escape to create. So I'm
You don't
glad that
care.
people
You just
watch
don't
the
care.
videos. I mean, I do care. I do watch. I'm not going to say I don't watch it. I see, videos, but mostly it'll be people like that I know saying, "Hey, your video's doing well." Like, "Oh, really? Okay." I mean,
Oh, wow.
I do look at it, but I don't want that to be the focus because then I start focusing on videos. You know how you'll see people make videos and he's like, I know they're just making this video to get views.
Oh, yeah.
When I
100%.
make a video, it's because it's something I really just thought, oh, this would be cool. I'll just do
Mhm.
this, not
Right.
really for the views. And people may believe that, they may not, but I
Yeah.
mean, like you, I got a job I got to do, my family. So it's more
Mhm.
just passive, I guess, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. And actually, I challenged a YouTuber back in January about that. Is like he was passionate about a video. He was a bigger time YouTuber, so he was just like agonizing over how to title it to get the clicks. And I was like, if you're passionate about it, you just want to put it out. Like, can't you have a video that just
Yeah.
doesn't happen to do as well? Do you have to go clickbait mode? And yeah, no, he wanted to. He's like, no, I got to get the clicks, basically. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. But all right, well, yeah, I'm a big fan of your stuff, and so yeah, please check it out. I'll have the links again for that in the show description. And Brad Crow Felton, man, so appreciate you coming on the show,
Sure.
guest host and filling
Yeah.
for Derek. Man, it's always a pleasure, my friend.
It was so much fun, man. I'm so glad you called, and it was fun just pulling out this. I love budget gear stuff. That's something I'm excited about, especially, people call you all the time or text you and say, hey, how can I get in a backpack I really want? So I always love that kind of stuff because I can say, hey, there's this piece of gear. It might work for you, so
Right.
I love that stuff. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. All right, everybody. Thanks for checking in. And like I said, Derek will be back next week. God bless everybody. Have a great week.